perception that there was some trouble. 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 We had trouble in Big Sky Country. That starts with T, that rhymes with D, and that stands for dirt. Senator Burns once told me that we had a lot of dirt between light bulbs. What he was trying to convey was that we had a failure to communicate. We had a lot of people that weren't talking to each other. We had communities that weren't talking to each other. And when I came from Silicon Valley, that was the lifeblood. Everybody talked to everybody. You had to, or you didn't survive. So I found a couple of friends, and we kind of came up with an idea. We started having networking events, and we built a website. I called it the Montana Associated Technology Roundtable, matr.net. And it's pronounced matter, not mater, because the economy does matter. And as most of you know, it's got a lot of articles that I post daily that anybody can post if they find information about the economy, government, education, broadband, which is big right now, energy. You can post those. You can post events, jobs, anything that you think can really go to help the Montana economy. It's funded, thank God, by some really great sponsors, which keeps my wife off my butt for working for 11 cents an hour. And I encourage all of you to consider helping keep that going so I can stay in this house. But it is free for everyone, and it will stay free for everyone. It also includes information from other economies, what they're doing, things that they're doing right, they're doing wrong. What can we learn? How can we not make the same mistakes? Because what I really believe is that information, collaboration, communication is really key. That's why the motto of the Technology Roundtable is the state with the best education wins. Now, what can I talk to you about that you'd like to promote Montana with to help us have a better state to live and work in?
Thanks, Russ. Just for your records, that was just under 2 minutes. Our next participant is Tara Mastel. She is a program lead for community development at MSU Extension, where she works to support rural community vitality and local leaders. Tara grew up in Wolf Point and began her career at a national marketing firm in Minneapolis. She came back to Montana to use her skills to bring some of the prosperity of the city to rural Montana. Please welcome Tara Mastel.
Thank you. Excited to be here. Well, MEDA members, I am here today to talk to you about rural communities. Rural communities are run by the people who live there. We all know this. It's just ordinary people, everyday people, no special qualifications needed. They run the mundane but the essential things like the town council, the mosquito board, the chamber of commerce. But they also initiate the things that really make a town really great to live there, like murals, the rodeo, the welcome kiosks, the quality of life sorts of things. So recently I had the pleasure of hosting, as part of MSU Extension, the Reimagining Rural program. And our first speaker there, Ben Winchester, he shared with us that Montana has the second highest leadership demand in the country. So in Montana, 1 in every 22 adults must hold some kind of a leadership position, whether it be a president, secretary, or treasurer, some kind of leadership position in either a government or nonprofit organization. It's pretty high. And so of the 24 participating communities that we had in Reimagining Rural, when they heard this, it was you kind of hear this audible sigh of relief, like, oh my gosh, it's not just us, it's not just our community that is so short leaders. And so many of these communities are talking about, like, we have the same 10 people that are kind of running everything, and they're really kind of worn out. It was a little bit of a call to action to them as well. So since this Reimagining Rural program this fall, about half of these communities are starting to make plans for their own local leadership program. So certainly in Montana, we have some great leadership programs. We have Leadership Montana, and we have a number of really strong local programs across the state, but it's really not enough. The research out of Minnesota, our first speaker, he told us that we need almost 900 new leaders every year, and these existing programs aren't producing that for us. So my proposal to you, MEDA members, is that we put more resources towards developing our new leaders at the local level. Clearly, we need more of them, and we need them to be as effective as they can be, because really local leaders are the special sauce that make our rural communities go. If we are to invest in more local leadership, that's really going to pay off now and into the future with strong, vibrant, and healthy rural communities.
Thank you so much, Tara. Nice work. Our next participant is Chris Manos. And Chris Manos' next season of service, after many careers, has just completed a year as an Economic Development Administration AmeriCorps Vista with Montana Business Connection, or MBAC. He's now continuing a second year of service with them in Helena, Montana, and has been fortunate to live, teach, and work in Montana for many years and in the Helena community for the last 19 years. Public service and giving back has always been a passion of Chris's, though throughout his various jobs and in the great communities he and his family have lived and worked here in the US and Europe. Workforce development is his focus today. Please welcome Chris Manos.
Well, navigating the workforce kind of development world is hard, but it reminds me of when I was a kid. Remember that? Are we there yet on all those travels? Well, as the 57 two-tone Chevy station wagon packed with 4 kids, suitcases and snacks, headed down that first mile to the West Coast yet again, as we moved from one military base to another. Well, my dad was at the wheel, and to his side was a folded map to help navigate our trip. As we got older, each of us would take turns to be responsible for the map. Well, each night after traveling many miles, my mom and dad would find a local motel. And once we were kind of settled in, my dad would spread out that map on a bed and show us where we were, where we had been, and where we hoped to go the next day. Using that map and his navigating skills, he always got us to our final destination. Well, today with Google Maps, GPS, and navigating devices, maps still come in handy. Serving as an AmeriCorps Vista with MBAC, or the Montana Business Assistance Connection, an economic development organization, I get to work with 4 groups: businesses, potential workers, schools, and communities. My navigating is with a workforce development map. That map, when spread out, has features like summer jobs, job shadowing, on-the-job training, internships, apprenticeships, certificates, and degrees. With that map, we can assist businesses to look ahead to retain, attract, and encourage talent. To students, young adults, those wanting upskilling and reskilling, to unfold their maps and not miss out or get lost seeking job opportunities. With schools and trainers to help lay out those needed work skill routes. And communities to attract, be inviting, and be economically successful. So let's work together to navigate that workforce map, find those pathways, and attract that talent to get you past that first mile to your destinations.
Thanks, Chris. Our next participant is Brenda Schilling, who is the Executive Director of the Glacier County Regional Port Authority, following 26 years of teaching public school music. Brenda enjoys spending time with her 2 20-something children, Austin and Alexandra, hiking, singing, playing the piano, and walking her border collie, Rooster. Brenda was born and raised in Wolf Point, Montana, and attended Montana State University, and resided in Cut Bank for the past 30 years. Please welcome Brenda Schilling.
Good morning. After helping a friend start a women-owned business from the ground up, I've come to realize that I am a reformed choir director turned economic developer. It was time to step off the podium and face an entirely different kind of music. On my very first day at the Glacier County Regional Port Authority in landlocked Cut Bank, Montana, I faced the music of an empty office with a locked file cabinet that had no key. My introverted personality had been conditioned to keep my back to the audience, but now provides technical assistance to new business owners and grant and loan applicants. I direct 9 diverse board members, host trainings, work with chambers, city councils, county commissioners, always ready to change tunes at the drop of a hat. Representing Glacier County, including the Blackfeet Reservation, means always striving for harmony without allowing that reservation border to divide us, working to do what's best for our economy. My wheels turn at different tempos, depending on whether you are a startup business, expanding an existing business, or are just telling me your vision of what you hope to achieve. There does continue to be that squeaky voice who asks more questions or demands more action than I anticipated. And I'm prepared to answer those questions, or I network with others to figure out how to calm that voice. Just as there continues to be that monotone voice who's never quite sure of how our organization will succeed. I keep digging in my heels and facing the music. By doing so, I've helped start and fund other new businesses and can do the same for you. It turns out I've had the key to the locked file cabinet all along. I just had to look within myself. Let's face the music together and figure out what I can do for your business. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Our next participant is Gloria ORourke. Gloria has been in Montana since 2000, let's start over. In 2003, Gloria ORourke and her husband, Mike, started their own business, which provides a range of services to nonprofits. Mike and Gloria have been married for 45 years, proving that it is possible to share an office with your spouse and remain happily married. Although Mike is quick to point out that he does have his own office door and knows how to use it. Please welcome Gloria ORourke.
Have you ever been to, say, a dinner? Maybe it's with a conference, an awards dinner, a conference dinner, and the program started and people are sitting down at the table, and you notice that there is somebody missing. There's an empty seat at the table. There's the plate, there's the drinking glass, there's the silverware, there's a salad wilting, and you realize someone is missing, and you have to wonder who is missing, who is not at the table that should be. Well, I know the answer, and that answer is you. MEDA, also known as Montana Economic Developers Association, is an organization of over 200 members who sit at this table, and this table is as big as Montana. And around this table, these people who are passionate about Montana, they never stop talking. They never stop talking about the issues, the programs, the financing, whatever it takes to make Montana the best that it can be. Some of the topics around this table, as big as Montana, that our MEDA members gather around, they range from childcare to sewer systems to wastewater to business retention, business attraction to childcare to broadband and everything in between. And the great thing is that each person at the table, they're willing to share what works for them, what isn't working for them, the success that they had, and they learn from each other. And so back to that empty seat at the table. This is your invitation. MEDA needs you. MEDA needs you to come to the table. We need to hear your successes and your challenges and what is working for you. So this is your invitation. Find your seat at the table pick up a chair, join us, and welcome to MEDA.
Thanks, Gloria. Our next participant is Corey Hageman. Corey Hageman moved to Montana in December 2020 and could not be more thrilled. Living in the natural beauty of the state while being able to help support local businesses and governments is a dream come true for him and his family. Please welcome Corey Hageman.
Thank you, Mark. About a year ago, I was actually in the Baltimore airport getting ready to fly home. I was on the phone with my wife. We were planning my son's 8th birthday party. It was a big one, and it was just days away. We were a little behind. I've been working at a trade show, and my team and I had spent the whole week presenting how the food and beverage world especially, but the hospitality industry as a whole, was on this long upward trajectory. Now is the time to invest in updated technology. Now is the time to get higher quality projects. Now is the time to create new inventive cuisines. And in just a couple of decades in the industry, I was the baby on the team. But everybody there knew that this was the future. Well, fast forward about a month, and we'd had a kick butt birthday party for my son. It was a success. And then we witnessed the beginning of the collapse of an ecosystem. I'm not going to go into numbers. Needless to say, the stats were, and frankly still are, somewhat shocking. This wasn't just restaurants and hotels. It was their distributors. It was the marketing companies and IT companies that specialized in that industry, uniforms, linens, manufacturers, tradesmen and women across dozens of specialties, farmers, ranchers, and processors. So watching this with kind of a sick, somewhat morbid fascination, I knew I wanted to help. And not just one industry, but I wanted to take the experience that I had learned and support companies that were struggling or trying to open or flourishing and providing much needed jobs and stability to their communities. Economic development became a very clear career choice for me moving forward. Luckily, my boss, Sarah, and the board at Sweetgrass were kind enough to give me the opportunity to do just that in one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. Supporting local business is a very real passion of mine. So please, if there is any way we can support you or someone you know's business, whether it's financial acumen, planning, streamlining, writing business plans, researching grants and loans, which I'm still learning, please reach out. I believe the ability to bounce back is an integral part of the human experience and would love the opportunity to be a part of your story.
Thank you, Corey. Our next participant is Kristine Komar. Kristine Komar is the chair of Visit Bitterroot Valley, Valley County's destination marketing organization. She has lived in the Bitterroot Valley for just over 20 years and feels embraced by the landscape. She likes working in tourism, in quotes, as it touches so many other areas of interest, including cultural heritage, interpretation, public art, community development, leadership, and neighboring. Please welcome Kristine Komar.
Thanks, Mark. Well, just 2 years ago, I began my work with Visit Bitterroot Valley, and it is clear to me that a sustainable tourism strategy touches so many in the community and benefits so many. However, it's really tough to reach everyone, and so our strategy is developing to engage folks. One of the ways that I learned about how to engage local people is to use my own experience. And I've got a story about that. Last summer, for the first time since college, I got a summer job. I was recruited by the Paramount people working on the Yellowstone TV show to help house about 450 cast and production team members. The showrunner, Taylor Sheridan, wanted everybody to have the Bitterroot experience and didn't want them driving from Missoula because they have 12-hour days. So in working in Visit Bitterroot Valley, I knew a lot of lodging owners, and so that made some sense. So I had to go look at every single lodging as part of my duties to make sure it was adequate and would support the sensibilities of the cast and crew. And so they rented me a car. It was a minivan. It was really hot. And one day, the whip and I went to the bank. We went to the drive-thru because COVID had closed the lobby. And we were doing this because I had received a new debit card in the mail. And, you have to start it up. And I couldn't start it up. So I pulled into the place, set my card up the tube. It came back with the same instructions I'd received already 3 times. So I know it didn't work. So I said, with respect to the teller, please help me because this doesn't work. And I heard this person shouting from nearby in the area, hey, why don't you go back to California? They probably know how to fix it there. And I'm going, is that person talking to me? And sure enough, there was a woman in a beat up white pickup. I mean, not to judge, I have an old pickup, but she has yelled at me because why? Because my minivan, the whip, had California plates on it. And so I reflected on this after the experience, after I cooled down and left and without resolving my issue. And I began to see that we had a lot of work to do to engage people in the Bitterroot. We had a lot of ways that we could engage people and help host visitors better, and also learn what people were reacting to so strongly about people with California plates, so that we could build a strategy for tourism that encompassed the benefits and also might hope to mitigate any other negative aspects. So we have a lot of work to do to ensure that everybody is engaged and that visitors are warmly welcomed in our community. And so I want to know, would you like to help us? Come on, jump in, the water's fine.
Thank you, Kristine. Our next participant is Hazer Novich, also known as Hazer Live. Hazer is a fifth-generation Montanan, an artist and marketing consultant. His belief that the best marketing comes from the marriage of business and art has been the key to success when working with companies such as Montana Rail Link, Northwestern Energy, BP, and General Electric. He is seeking to utilize his decade of experience to craft large art installations that inspire Montana's local communities while providing a unique attraction to new visitors. Please welcome Hazer Novich.
Hello, I'm Hazer. I'm an artist, and I've always considered myself an economic developer. My work over the past 10 years has been to bring tourists to the state. It's been to get good employees in good paying jobs. It's been to work with businesses, big and small, to get better success out of their marketing and their image. So to work with them and their image. If that's not economic development, I don't really know what is. The reason that I've started calling myself an artist recently is because when I tell somebody that I'm a photographer, their knee-jerk reaction is to think that my greatest skill is pressing a button. It's so far from that. I didn't create one of the most successful grassroots tourism efforts because I was good at pressing a button. I did it because I took an artistic approach to solving a problem that I was passionate about. So when I was at Northwestern, I created a digital marketing campaign that broke records when it came time to look at the J.D. Power reports. I organized a cleanup in Butte that rallied 200 people to clean 10 tons of trash in a single workday. Shoot. We even had a project that had millions of views, and the sole focus was beautifying dumpsters. It's been kind of a crazy ride. But the problem that I keep running into is whenever I go and ask for support on my projects, I'm offered a loan. And that's really challenging because there's this expectation that somehow my promotion of Montana or a Montana city is somehow going to make me rich, pay for the cost of the project, and also the health insurance that I still need to pay for. That's a problem because that's not how it works. If you had to give up your salary at the end of every year, you probably wouldn't still be economic developers. But I'm still wanting to give it a shot. So here I am asking you, not as a loan applicant, but as a person who provides a service, to work with me so that I can create an attraction that's going to pull people off the highways and enrich the lives of your communities. Right now, I'm working on one of the largest art installations in the state. and I'd love to tell you more.
Thank you, Hazer. Our final participant is Marie Hirsch, who is the Executive Director of the ORourke Community Development Corporation. She's a MEDA board member, and having just joined the ORourke CDC, Marie is excited about the opportunities and challenges of a small rural community and economic development organization. Marie's sharing a story today that reflects the impact of food insecurity in our communities. Please welcome Marie Hirsch.
Thank you, Mark. As most of you know, I've spent the last 8 years as a business development director at Lake County Community Development. And I was recently given the opportunity to become the executive director of the ORourke CDC. This change in scenery has provided me with a perspective on a community challenge that I want to make sure doesn't go unnoticed by economic developers across the state. I know it's almost lunchtime, and you may actually be beginning to feel hungry. That makes for the perfect setting for my story. There's a line forming outside right now, as it does every Friday about noon. We're the ORourke CDC, but we're also home to the ORourke Jocko Valley Food Pantry. People are lining up. They're waiting for emergency food boxes. It's an interesting mix of occupants in these cars. Some are families, some are the elderly, some are students from regional colleges here. All of them are living on fixed incomes. As you stop and think about it, it's interesting. We wonder what's on their minds. But here today, we know what's on their minds. They're concerned about how they're going to feed their families. These weekly food boxes have been helping reduce the hunger impact as a result of COVID in our community since last April. The term food insecurity is a technical term for hunger. And it's estimated that 141,000 Montanans are experiencing hunger right now. The Feeding America data reflects that as a result of COVID, 1 in 6 people are experiencing hunger. And for children, that number is 1 in 4. Let's go back outside for a second and check in on that line. It's cold. We had snow here last night, but the volunteers are ready. They've prepared their stations. They know most of these people in line. They're their friends, they're their neighbors, people they went to school with. And as the line begins to move, smiles, love, and laughter take over as the volunteers place boxes of staple items, bags of produce, a dozen eggs, a little package of meat into the trunks of these vehicles. We're distributing about 85 boxes a week, and that number doesn't seem to be dropping right now. This is a really unique challenge and program for an economic development organization. COVID-19 brought community hunger to the front of challenges for the ORourke CDC, and we were able to respond to this. Is your stomach still growling? Does it have you thinking? Do you want to hear more about it?
Thank you, Marie.